Hi all. So after a fascinating 1-1 draw at the series is at 1-1, the drawn test match, the rain affected drawn test match at the GABA. So the series could not have been betterly poised right now. Like heading into MCG, the famous Boxing Day test match, the cricket heritage of Australian cricket. So I've got Pranav here with me to talk about the MCG test and the four test preview. So currently, given how things stand, both Australia and India would be fairly happy with how things are. Australia, because they have been dominating the last two test matches after the Perth debacle for them. I think in cricketing terms, they have the momentum because they have played the better cricket going into the GABA and the Adelaide ping ball test. But however, if you look at from a series point of view, like India before the schedule, like before the series started, like if anyone would have told them like after the GABA test, after the first three tests, they would have been 1-1, like, 1-all in the series. I think they would have taken grabbed it with both of their hands. The series result as of now. So both sides would be fairly happy, but this is like the crunch time. This is all to play for, like MCG and SCG later on. But let's focus on MCG here. The Boxing Day test. I think it's gonna be full house. I think it's already sold out the first day of Test cricket. And like it's, I think there will be much more Indian supporters in MCG as we have seen because of the dynamics and demographics and all those things in Australia, MCG and Melbourne. So now coming to the cricket, Pranav. So uh, any changes you would like to see to the playing 11? I think would you like even think about maybe bringing in someone giving someone a rest, or overall given, because I feel the conditions in MCG have been that India has a good record there. I think they have not lost since last many years over there. But however, I feel that the pitch has started seeming a bit, given by how the recent past. And also Scott Boland is supposed to be a menace out there. Like he has got a very astonishing stats at MCG, and he's going to play that match. So not going to be easy for Indian batters at all. But
Mm.
however, I feel that MCG still provides much better opportunities for India to dominate the test match than the first three test matches. So overall, your take on this test match?
I think the series is nicely poised with some media controversies going on. So it's just getting even more interesting. But I just felt that it should have happened about a couple of tests back. But
Mhm.
nevertheless, I mean, it sets for an interesting end of the series. But coming to MCG overall, I think one change that I'd like to see is Washington Sundar in place of, probably a little unfortunate, but in place of Nitish Kumar Reddy, because
Okay.
um, to most of us' surprise, the most wickets taken in MCG in Test matches is actually by Nathan Lyon.
Nice.
It's jointly with Pat Cummins, 35 each. But what sets Nathan Lyon apart is actually the number of dot balls that he gets to bowl. It's about 1,730 as compared to Pat Cummins's 1,110. So that's about 19 tests Lyon has played. Cummins has played 13. Um, Obviously, the strike rate for the Pacers are quite less as compared to spinners. But what I'm
Okay.
trying to say here is that I'd like an additional spinner in the Indian lineup, because Sundar did well in the
But
tests
yeah.
in Perth and last test that he played in the Gabba. So I'd like to see that change, because I don't see Jadeja being a threat with the ball as much as he's exceptional with the bat, because he averages 50 in Australia. So I'd like to see him as the batting all rounder and Sundar as the bowling all rounder, and I'd be happy with three pacers and then fourth bowler being a frontline spinner, and then an additional spinning option for uh, the rotation of the bowlers, because that gives me an additional cushion of bowling at least 40 overs of spin a day. So out of the 90, I'll bowl 40 of spin. That means 20 each, or maybe 30-10, whatever the split is. and then the 50 overs of pace between the three bowlers, so that ensures enough workload. Um, and then to the next stat, which is again very surprising, is that in MCG, 45% of the teams have won batting second.
Nice.
And the last test India played here in MCG, India won batting second. That
Hmm.
was Siraj and Shubman Gill's debut test matches, respectively, where Ajinkya Rahane actually scored a nice 100. Australia were bowled out for 200, and then India got a little bit of a lead, and then India got a target of I think what India got a target of 80 odd,
Have
probably,
to check that. Yeah,
or no,
something like that.
70 odd.
Hmm.
70 odd, and Ajinkya Rahane finished it with a boundary, no, with a single, and the series was there leveled 1-1. So I think there will be, but contrary to what we saw in 2020 after that test match. So since that test, the average first inning scores in MCG have actually dropped um, to around 225. So since 2020, the lone score of 318 by Australia in the first innings came against Pakistan last year in MCG, which Australia eventually won. So that's the only test where Australia won batting first, but rest of the test matches mostly have been bowling first. So utilizing the moisture a bit will be the key. But having said that, I think if you look at India's strength, it's majorly fast bowling, but at the same time, it's also about how you bat. So, assuming that Cummins wins the toss and you have to bat first, if you see off the first 15 overs, there won't be enough swing, but there will be constant seam movement. So it's a sort of a ground where you get 15 overs of swing and 30 overs of constant seam movement. So somebody like Stark will get some enough movement off the new ball, and then somebody like Boland will be relentless with his seam bowling. So if you see off this sort of a spell, then you can easily start milking runs. I don't expect it to be very high scoring. Probably, let's say the first inning score will be somewhere around 250, 270, and then it starts going in that sort of way where it goes to day 4, day 5, with a target of maybe 100, 120 runs. I see it that way, because that's how traditionally the wicket has been, even if you look at the Sheffield Shield game. So yeah, I mean that's what I expect from the test. Probably it's easier for me to say all of this sitting here, but yeah, I mean it's going to be an interesting test.
Yeah, also I think it would be interesting to see, like, so far in Perth, Adelaide, and Brisbane, we have seen high bounce wickets. So we have hardly seen any LBWs or like bold and that those kind of dismissals much. Maybe towards MCG and Sydney, we will see more of that, those kind of dismissals coming back more into the game. Maybe a bit more stump to stump line and getting
Yeah,
LBW and stuff. I think they will be
yeah,
coming more into the picture in these pitches. And also, I think one more thing regarding, I think the basic Australian in Australian conditions, the batting template is same overall. I think it's just seeing out the first 20, 30 overs and then slowly grinding out the opposition down and then going for the kill. But however, I feel that I think the one advantage which people talk about in MCG and SCG is basically, I think the once the ball gets a little older, even in Brisbane, like in Perth and stuff like that, still because of the bounce and pace of the pitch, it still does a little bit all the time. But I think over here it kind of slows down a bit. Is it like that? Am I wrong? Like it's some is it something that
uh,
after 30 overs the ball kind of
no, I
is
mean
much better, easier to
tip,
bat on? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
typically in Australia, what happens is that once you see off the new ball,
Mhm.
once the lacquer comes off a bit of the Kookaburra ball, it's sort of that sort of tennis ball bounce where you get constant bounce, but the seam movement relents a bit. I'm not saying
Mhm.
it completely goes off
Mhm. Yeah.
because it's Australia, so you won't have respite of the seam movement here and there. But then in the first 2 days, it will be nice for batting. I'm not saying it will be flat for batting because, as I said, I don't expect it to be very high run
Mhm.
scoring.
Yeah.
At the max, it will go to 300, 320. Beyond that, it won't go because Uh, it is not that sort of a wicket where it will be helping for the batters, but it will be slightly tilted towards the bowlers. So run scoring will become easier once you have spin bowling. Um, and that's where I want Washington Sundar to be in the place, because with his height, he'll extract constant bounce. And I think you might call it a defensive theory, but I feel that one end, if the spin, collects the dots, it'll be easier for somebody like Mohammad Siraj to come back to form with the ball. Because if you go back to the Melbourne Test, where Siraj made his debut, I think Ashwin was picking up wickets constantly from the other end,
Right.
right? And Siraj was brought on as the first change bowler. So Siraj got Labuschagne at leg slip, and Ashwin got Smith caught at first slip, because obviously Ashwin was gotten earlier. So then I think Siraj got Cam Green LBW, if my memory serves me right. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, if you contain one end up, it'll be easier for the other fast bowlers, somebody like Akashdeep, somebody like Siraj, uh, to actually get wickets and bowl those lengths where it'll be productive and not defensive lengths. Because Sundar is that kind of bowler who will contain, but at the same time he'll also attack. Now I'll be very keen on how Rohit Sharma uses his bowlers, obviously, but um, it's not very easy to bat on. But it becomes easier if you're settled and if you see off quite a few deliveries. It's the same logic that we spoke about KL Rahul last video, where you leave out balls, you milk runs, and then it starts becoming easier for the other batters to come. Or basically, put in simpler words, you delay the entry points of the other batters so that it's easier to score runs off.
Yeah, I mean, so overall, like, I think even if we are talking about MCG and SCG suiting India more and maybe the pitches, but I don't think that's actually going to happen, because we have seen similar kind of theories in last overseas tours as well, where India goes to say South Africa, Venue, where India is supposed to do well, but the pitches actually don't turn up the way they are supposed to be. I don't think Australia will be so naive to put on conditions which will be favorable to India. I think there will be enough, plenty of sea movement in the pitches and stuff like that. Even in SC, even in Sydney, I feel that even though people are calling it to be a spinning track, I feel that it's going to be a good cricket wicket. I mean, with good pace and bounce as well. But overall, coming to this particular match, so from an Australian side, if we look at things, I think Nathan McSweeney has been dropped, and in his place, Sam Constance, the 19-year-old prodigy, as they call him, is in the squad, ready to face Jasprit Bumrah in the Boxing Day Test. I mean, can't get better for him, to be honest. A dream debut if it happens. So, if you were an Australian selector, because I personally do not like the call, I like the call of Sam Constantine, but not at the place of Nathan McSweeney. I think just giving a youngster 2-3 games and then dropping him when he's facing the best bowler in the world at the top of the order. And McSweeney is not even a natural opener. I think he's a number 3 or number 4 in domestic cricket. So from that perspective, I feel it's very harsh on the man. If anyone, maybe you can drop Usman Khwaja, because to be honest, he's 38 years old and he has not been performing that well for a longer period of time. Not only this series. If you look at the stats and stuff, he's been averaging 25 or something, I think. So overall, I think it was a harsh call. Like, all the best to Sam Constance, but your take on this, this election?
I think what they're trying to do here is, Sam Constance is in general an attacking batter. If you look at his shots that he plays, or he doesn't shy away from playing those shots or look ugly. And I think they're trying to throw something at India which might offset or upset their plans upfront, because Mike Sweeney is not a natural attacker. He will take his own time and you know milk milk runs. And Khawaja is a similar batter. He will not attack from ball one. He will put the bad balls away, obviously, but he won't attack from ball one. So Australia's problem since Warner has been that there has been no attack from one end, because
Right.
their mode of operation has been one end has to be attacked and the other end has to be contained, so that the run scoring keeps on going. But as I mentioned in the last video as well, it's been 15 for 3 always for Australia in the three tests, and it's not ideal for them, because the problem is that they are not getting enough starts from the opening batters since Warner has left. Even when he was not there, uh, they tried Marcus Harris, they tried Travis Head for a while, they tried Matthew Wade opened in the last VGT in Australia. Even that experiment failed to quite some extent. Um, they also tried Joe Burns. They tried
Right.
Travis Head opening in India. So there have been plenty of options, but I don't know why they don't trust Cameron Bancroft, who's been scoring quite some runs in the Sheffield Shield games.
Right.
But with Consters, I think it's more of trying to upset the plans that they have. But with India, I think they just need to stick to what they're doing, albeit get more plans for the middle order than uh, the opening partnership, because initially both the batters will look vulnerable because one is making his debut, the other is out of form. So they will look vulnerable, and it also depends on what sort of situation you're thrown at. Uh, so yeah, I mean, a lot of factors, but what I'd be interested to see is how Sam Consters approaches Bumrah, because I saw a couple of videos. I mean, I obviously posted this on Twitter that there'll be two plans. If I was in the Indian camp, uh, I'd probably get two plans for Sam Consters. One is obviously the nip backer. Um,
Right.
set him up with a few outswingers, make him leave those balls, and then get one to swing it in, because he tries to leave his ball at a length
Mm-hmm.
and often gets bowled at the off stump. The second plan that I would have is the outswingers. So basically, I'll set him up with a few straighter deliveries and then get one to pitch on middle and off,
Yeah.
and then take
And
it away,
yeah.
so that he just plays that on drive and gets the edge to the first or the second slip, because his stance says quite a lot, because he has a slightly open stance where his foot doesn't go as close as to the ball as it should ideally. I mean, obviously there are a lot more technical people to tell you that these days, but that's what I saw from the very brief video that I have seen. And especially in MCG, what I've just read from Himansh Ganju, who was a data analyst with Team India for a couple of years, triumph in the 2024 World Cup. He mentioned that the 5 to 7 meter length in MCG produces a lot of wickets, and India have been actually a little more short this tournament or this series.
Mm.
If you look at their predominant lengths, it's been 6 to 8 meters, which is quite short, because that allows you to time your ball or make your pull
Yeah.
shots. But for me, as someone who's watching, I think India have been quite short and quite wide. In MCG, as you said, it's key to be zooming in around the stumps, or maybe one stump to the left and one stump to the right. So it's just about the fourth or at max the fifth stump line. Um, so yeah, I mean, these you can keep talking about how you can get batters out, but eventually it's about the execution. But again, I don't expect this to be a very high scoring game. Um, I don't. At max, I'd say one 100 from each team is what I expect. Beyond that, I don't see a lot of high scoring. It could be thriller, but I don't see a lot of high scoring runs coming, because from the first pictures that I see, they've left a lot of grass, and the curator tends to leave a lot of grass here. So yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you win the toss, like going by the stats and everything, you would like to bowl first? Bowl first, right? I
Yeah,
mean, but one,
typically
yeah,
you'd like to bowl first because you want to use the moisture up front.
but
And it's typically cloudy from the weather forecast that I can see. We'll obviously get closer to the day and then realize. But yeah.
I think regardless of like if India, Australia, whoever is batting first, I think anyways the template remains the same. Like play out the first 15, 30 overs. Like I think KL Rahul is doing that just fine. From I think from if we look at both the sides, KL Rahul has been the best batter. I know Travis side has been scoring a lot of hundreds and stuff, but like purely going by the technique and the solidity in these innings, I think KL Rahul has has outshined every other like batsman in this series so far. So all the best to him. Kudos if he can carry on that form, and hopefully we are trying. Like I mean, talk about Rohit Sharma, and he has been saying in the press conference he has been feeling well internally, like about scoring runs, though it is not coming. So I think this is going to be a very crucial test, as is going to be SCG, because he needs at least one big score, to be honest, if he wants to continue post this BGT. At least one decent match-winning contribution is very much needed. Virat Kohli has that 100 in Perth. I know that it was comparatively easier conditions because of the how the match situation was. Not really a crunch situation where he got and bailed his team out of trouble and got 100. But somehow I feel like Rohit Sharma needs a score. I mean, it's affecting his captaincy as well. He's very low on confidence, like getting defensive too soon in the field as well. So I think overall, it's a much needed boost the team needs from the captain to lead from the front with the bat as well. And so overall, like anything else you looking forward to this test match?
Yeah, I think I'll eagerly wait for somebody like Shubman Gill to score runs, because more than Rohit, I'm watching Shubman Gill closely, because somebody like a Sarfraz Khan is actually breathing down his neck, or even Dhruv Jurel for that matter.
You're right. Yeah.
Because if you take out Shubman Gill, that opens a lot of options, right? You can push Rohit at 3, bring Jurel down at 6, bring Sarfraz down at 6. Whoever you want, you can bring him down at 6. So Shubman Gill, after that 91 at the Gabba, has not scored a 40
Right. Hmm.
in
Outside
outside
Asia.
Asia.
Yeah.
And it's actually very concerning for somebody of his talent that he's not able to score runs. And it's majorly, again, not too technical, because even with the likes of Rohit, Kohli, Gill, or even Pant for that matter, it's not very technical, because they are very technically sound batters. It's about the mental roadblock that they are in at the moment. Because if you look at the series of dismissals that these guys have gone through, it's about reaching to that ball. It's about feeling back to the ball, and
Right.
I think that's not needed, because in one end you obviously have KL Rahul, who is just leaving balls for fun. Uh, do you need to attack from the other end? I don't think so, because that's where the sort of combination or the mental aspect comes in, right? Because you want to feel back to the ball, you want to get off the mark. Yes, but you will get loose deliveries. I mean, the major aspect as a batter should be to shift the bowlers from plan A to plan B, and then plan B to plan C. Um, I don't think I need to elaborate a lot more on what I've already said. But yeah, I think it's the mental thing that is affecting the likes of Rohit and Gill, because Rishabh Bhai mentioned the last video that they need to declutter themselves from the thought of what lies ahead, or what's in store, etc., etc. So I'd be expecting Shubman Gill to get to a place where he made his debut,
Hmm.
really score some runs. I mean, runs, not the volume of runs, but just play an impactful innings. That's what I mean. That's what I want to see. Because the last time Rohit played here was in 2018. He got a 63 of 110 odd balls, and then he left for his first daughter's birth to India, and eventually India won that game quite comfortably.
Hmm.
I think uh, India batted first, scored nice runs, and then Australia were bundled out. Bumrah picked a 6 for that game.
Hmm. Right.
His first Boxing Day test, but obviously you had the likes of Vishant and Shami supporting Bumrah. Now that has changed to Siraj and Akashdeep. So a lot of parallels to be drawn, but what I'd like to see is sort of application that KL Rahul is showing, because if one can do, the others can also do. Uh, but yeah, I just hope that there is one impactful innings which lifts the morale of the team, because a lot of off-field talk has happened. But yeah,
True.
let's see how that goes.
And just before like wrapping up, so just one final call is that I would like to see Akashdeep and Bumrah opening with the new ball rather than Siraj and Bumrah. I think
They did
Siraj
that
can
in
be a
the second
second.
new ball
Yeah.
in the first innings.
I think
Um,
Akashdeep is much more potent with the new ball than Siraj, so I think that can be an
yeah,
handful.
again, they tend to leave a little bit of grass. So you want that sort of seam bowler in your lineup. I don't expect any other change than Sundar coming in for Reddy. It's harsh on Reddy, but I'd like to see Akashdeep with the new ball, and also I'd like to see enough plans versus Travis Head, because you can't look clueless
Exactly.
every test.
I mean, yeah, that's something like really. I mean, like we all know, like maybe bowl some like at his body kind of liveries when he's very much new to the crease. I mean, other than getting him off for a few square cuts and off his legs, I mean, that's
His
something India
feet
needs to.
doesn't move enough. I mean, there's been a lot of talk around how he plays those cuts and pulls, but his feet doesn't move enough
True, true, true.
initially. So you would want to bowl those fuller lengths, go back to the Perth test and see where Harshit Rana actually improved right away. I mean, he just bowled the full length close to the off stump, cramped him for room a couple of times, and then bowled that fuller ball. Maybe try that Yorker versus him, because even Shama Joseph got him out with a broken toe. So yeah, you can
Yeah,
get him
and
out.
just one more thing is that I mean I would like the Rohit Sharma to not be so defensive when he starts getting a few boundaries out. Like I mean, like last few Test matches, I feel that we were just waiting for him to make a mistake for him to get out. I mean, we put all the fielders. I mean, that's not how you're going to save runs as well, because if he's in form, he will still find gaps in the field. Like he will like hit sixes. So it's kind of pointless in Test cricket to just wait for him to make a mistake, rather than I
Yeah.
mean make a certain plan, maybe cover the total like point to gully region with fielders or do something like that. I mean make some like bold decisions, but rather than just letting this field spread, I mean that can't get easier for any other batsman. So yeah, so that's all. That's what we had to discuss for today, the MCG preview. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Do share your thoughts about who do you think has the upper hand going into this test match. Any team changes from you would like to see from India and Australia? I think we know the 11 more or less. So and so MCG conditions, as we see that batting second tends to be, the stats say that batting second tends to be like good in the recent past. So yeah, so that's all. Do follow us on Twitter and Insta. We'll drop our like handles in the description below in the YouTube section. And yeah, see you soon again on the day wise review. Bye.